Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. For the last month or so, every Monday we have been breaking down the new AP Top 25 poll. But we are done with that. We are done talking about the AP. Every Monday from now until the end of the season, we will be bringing you our very own rankings, the GE Top 25 poll. Not the AP, but the GE Top 25 poll. We'll be breaking those down for you every single Monday, getting you ready for the new week of college football. And again, that will carry us all the way through the end of the season. So today, guys, is our first edition of the GE Top 25. We wanted to wait for about a month into the season to see what these teams were really made of. Our first set of rankings of the season. Again, we'll have these out every single Monday going forward. So before we break down our first edition of rankings heading into Week 5, again, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. So glad you guys are with us today. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. If you haven't already, go sign up for those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. We've been beating out the national analysts, beating them out, the national ones, ESPN, CBS, Vegas, everybody, 80% of them each of the last 3 years. So make sure to go sign up for that today if you have not already. Analysis comes out every single Wednesday. I promise you it will be one of the best decisions you make all season long. So let's take a look at this brand new Top 25, guys. Again, has no bias towards the AP poll, no bias towards any team. It's solely straight from us here at the Gridiron Expert. And we'll try to do some quick hitters on all of these teams. We'll start in the top 10. That's where we always start. I have been saying in the AP poll, we've been breaking down those rankings, I feel that Alabama, Georgia at 1 and 2 is undisputed. There are a lot of people out there that think that Georgia should be above Alabama. They believe the Bulldogs are the number 1 team in the country. And they certainly do look like it, right? Coming off a 62-0 victory over Vanderbilt. That win, extremely impressive for Kirby Smart in Georgia. Extremely impressive. But again, we have to keep in mind, it's Vanderbilt, right? We're acting like Alabama couldn't have done the same thing. Alabama, to me, has the more impressive victory of the two. Many will say, whoa, what about Clemson? Well, have you seen Clemson lately? Again, not to take anything away from Georgia. The Bulldogs are one of the top teams in the country. I think it's Alabama, Georgia, and then everybody else. And there's a significant gap there. But Alabama's win in the swamp over Florida, to me, right now, after seeing Clemson play, is more impressive than Georgia's victory over Clemson. That's right, I think right now. So Alabama at 1, Georgia at 2. The gap, very, very thin, but it's going to stay that way until Alabama gives me a reason to drop them. Either a very poor performance in a week where Georgia exceeds, or a week where Alabama happens to lose. And that very well could be this upcoming week, guys, as Alabama does take on Ole Miss. But right now, Alabama, Georgia, undisputed, number 1 and number 2 for me. After that, you've got Oregon in at number 3. Really, I think 3 through 5, you can switch them around if you want, but I think this is the way it needs to be. Oregon arguably has the best victory out of any team in the top 25 right now, especially if you just want to consider it non-conference. A road win at Ohio State. It's a very, very difficult place to play. In Oregon, the score says they only won by a touchdown. Oregon won that game convincingly. They dominated every opponent since then. Dominated Arizona this last Saturday. Many think that score looked a little bit closer than it really was. I don't. Whatever you want to take away from that game against Arizona, the fact of the matter is Oregon still defeated the Wildcats by double digits. In Oregon, right now, when you look at the field of the Pac-12, it looks like the Ducks could go undefeated. And obviously, if they do that, they're going to the playoff. Oregon is legit. They are the real deal. They are the third-ranked team in the country for a reason. Penn State is at 4, Iowa is at 5. Some think those could be flipped. Both teams have very good defenses, but to me, Penn State obviously owning that offensive edge. We haven't really seen much of Iowa's offense here. They struggled a little bit against Colorado State on Saturday, only winning that game by 10. Same can be said for Penn State, only beating Villanova by 21. But right now, the Nittany Lions have 2 impressive victories. A road win at Wisconsin. Yes, I know the Badgers are struggling, but a road win at Wisconsin. Obviously, the whiteout victory over Auburn. Both those way more impressive than Iowa's most impressive victory, which would be on the road at Iowa State, who is now out of the rankings after a second loss of the year, this time coming at the hands of Baylor. So there's your top 5, and I think that's a solid top 5. And And really, you can dispute it any way you want, maybe switch them up, but those are your top 5 teams. No other team should enter that. Those are your top 5. After that, it's where it gets fun. This is where it gets wild. Again, this is one of the wildest college football seasons we have ever seen, guys. A lot of people, including myself, calling it college football the year 2007 2.0. 2007 has been claimed by many as the wildest year in college football history. This year is shaping up to be crazier. Just as good, if not better, than 2007. And I think a major testament to that is because some of the teams we have in these top 25, some of the upsets we've seen, we've got Arkansas in at number 6 in the country in our GE top 25. And if you had told me or anybody else that Arkansas would be a top 25 team coming into October, let alone a top 10 team, I would have laughed at you. I would have thought you were joking. But the Razorbacks are the real deal. They are 4-0 for the first time since 2003. They have won every game so far by double digits. That includes a win over Texas, 40-21. That includes a 10-point victory over Texas A&M this last Saturday. Arkansas is for real. Balanced offense. Barry Odom's defense is flying around everywhere. And I believe the Hogs, who are number 8 in the AP poll, we've got them at 6, deserve to be above the likes of Notre Dame, who, again, credit to the Fighting Irish for taking down Wisconsin the way they did, 41-13. But we've seen how poor Wisconsin has looked prior to that. I know we picked Wisconsin. Bad pick. But outside of that win over Wisconsin, how good has Notre Dame looked? They haven't. 14-point victory over Purdue, narrowly escaping Toledo, narrowly escaping Florida State, who was 0-4. Arkansas, I believe, is better than Notre Dame right now, based on what we've seen so far this season. So we have the Hogs at 6, Notre Dame at 7, Cincinnati at 8. The Bearcats, I believe, are for real. Their most impressive victory on the road at Indiana, who isn't what we thought they would be, but still a solid Indiana team nonetheless. And we know what the Cincinnati team has. We've seen them play. Even against the weaker opponents, they haven't really shown any weaknesses. They haven't had a letdown game. These Bearcats know that, hey, if we want to make the playoff, and that's a very realistic possibility, they've got to run the table. And to run the table, they're going to have to win at Notre Dame on Saturday. And we'll have analysis on that later this week. But we believe the Bearcats are our top 10 team, not above Notre Dame, but they will be above them if they can take them down in South Bend on Saturday afternoon, I should say. After Cincinnati, we have Oklahoma at 9, and a lot of people will disagree with that, saying the Sooners are too low. They're not. If anything, they could be lower. You could make a case for Oklahoma to be outside the top 10. I think we're being generous for the Sooners. Here's the thing. Lincoln Riley's squad is 4-0. We know the talent they have. Spencer Rattler, despite getting booed, is a talented quarterback. The offense is talented. Alex Grinch and that defense, I think they're getting there. I really, really do. But outside of the Western Carolina victory, whoever they play, where they won't drop like 70 points, every other game has been decided by single digits. Barely beat Tulane. Barely beat Nebraska, winning that game by 7. And this last weekend, barely beating West Virginia at home, just 16-13. Oklahoma has looked unimpressive. Yes, they're the favorite in the Big 12. Yes, they have a legitimate shot at the playoff, but they have not looked impressive. And when they start to face tougher opponents, Texas is coming up. Kansas State is this weekend. We know they've struggled against the Wildcats recently. When they start to face them, that's when we're really going to see what Oklahoma's made of. And I do think the Sooners slip up somewhere this year. Don't know where, but they will slip up. And it could be detrimental to their playoff hopes if they continue to not look impressive in these victories where they should. So Oklahoma down at number 9, still a top 10 team, but nowhere near a top 5, top 4 team like many have them pegged. Rounding out our top 10, we have Florida. The Gators, again, at number 10, despite having one loss, the only loss was by 2 points at home to Alabama. The Gators showed us a lot in that game. They showed us a lot in that game against Alabama. They said, hey, we're not afraid. They were down 21-3. They battled back, showed a lot of fight. They bounced back, crushed Tennessee in the swamp this last Saturday. So Florida, I believe, is the real deal. Florida is a team that will challenge Georgia here in a few weeks down in Jacksonville. And obviously, if they win that, they will then be owning the tiebreaker and could win the SEC East. So watch out for the Gators, guys. A lot of people wrote them off early, but I do believe in Dan Mullen's squad here. Maybe not as good as they were last year, but still top 10 caliber. So there's your top 10. We'll go through the remaining 15 teams a little bit quicker here. Ole Miss, number 11. This is a team that's well-rested coming into Alabama. This offense might be the best in the country. Matt Corral's a legitimate Heisman Trophy contender. Lane Kiffin's offense is electric, and they're going to give Alabama fits on Saturday. Do not be surprised if the Rebels possibly win in Tuscaloosa. And I might be picking an upset if the game was being played in Oxford. But Ole Miss, the real deal. That defense really, really improved. They're right on the outside looking in of the top 10. Michigan at 12. Yes, say what you want. Bring on the comments. We want to hear from you if you agree or disagree. I'm sure everybody will disagree with us having Michigan over Ohio State. But Michigan is 4-0. The ground game is killing it. They took down a Western Michigan squad convincingly, who later went on the road and took down Pittsburgh. They took down Washington convincingly, who just beat California, is now seeming to find their groove again. They just took down Rutgers, who, you'll say it's Rutgers, is improving drastically under Greg Schiano. They're 4-0. The running game is killing it. Ohio State, on the other hand, is 3-1, a home loss to Oregon, and unimpressive performances against Minnesota and Tulsa. Tell me why Ohio State should be top 10. Tell me why they should be above Michigan. Tell me why Ohio State should be flirting with the top 10. They're a top 15 team still, sure. But Ohio State has looked so unimpressive out on the field. We've been saying that for weeks now. Now that we finally ranked them, nowhere near our top 10. They don't deserve to be 11th. They don't deserve to be 12th. They don't deserve to be above Michigan right now. Ohio State has not looked impressive to me in the slightest, and they're going to have to make major changes if they want to get back into that top 10 conversation. Right now, they are far from the best team in the Big Ten, as indicated by our rankings, as indicated by the AP, and do not be surprised if Ohio State drops another game or two in 2021. After that, BYU in at 14. Three of their 4 wins, I should say, have come against Pac-12 opponents. All of those coming in impressive fashion. Most importantly, the Arizona State victory. That was a major, major win for BYU back in Week 3. So BYU, the Cougars, they're trending in the right direction. They're exceeding expectations. Everybody thought they'd fall off after the loss of Zach Wilson and everybody. Kalani Sitake said, hey, what are you talking about? We've got talent here. We're going to do just fine. And they are doing just fine. BYU has enough talent, guys, to potentially run the table, go undefeated possibly. A couple tough tests coming up. If you have to play Boise State, have yet to play Baylor. But BYU certainly in the right direction. I believe they are the 14th ranked team in the country. They deserve that top 15 spot, no doubt in my mind. Right behind them, Coastal Carolina, 4-0. 3 of their 4 wins have come by double digits. The only one that did not was a road game against Buffalo, where they should have won by double digits, but Grayson McCall had a horrible pass in the end zone that was intercepted. Buffalo got that late score. Regardless, Coastal, arguably the best team in the Sun Belt, will be flirting with a New Year's Six bowl appearance, because if Cincinnati were to fall to Notre Dame, Coastal Carolina slips in there as maybe that group of 5 favorite to land in a New Year's Six bowl game. So Grayson McCall, Jamie Chadwell, the Chanticleers, they're the real deal. They are the real deal. They're very, very tough to stop on the ground. Michigan State comes in at number 16. They are 4-0, have been one of the bigger surprises of the season. Arkansas is up there. Michigan State's up there as teams that we thought would improve a little bit, but not do nearly as well as we thought as they were doing right now. But Michigan State, they're 4-0. Impressive victories over Northwestern, blowout fashion. Miami, blowout fashion. And then we saw them win a close game against Nebraska. While many would say that it's a reason for them to drop, to me it's a reason for them to continue to rise. We saw this team dominate in their first 3 games, but to see them be able to squeak out an overtime victory, prime time, finally ranked against a Nebraska team that was improving, and that shows me that Michigan State can win in any sort of fashion. Can win the blowout, can win the close slugfest. That was an impressive victory for Mel Tucker and the Spartans. And they've been a major, major surprise. Kenneth Walker, amazing on the ground. And the Spartans, guys, are a legitimate threat in the Big Ten East. That's going to be a fun division to watch with Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, all of them fighting for that crown. A lot of shakeups coming once conference play really gets rolling. Michigan State in at 16. Oklahoma State in at 17. They're 4-0. The reason we have them above A&M, the likes of them, impressive road victory at Boise State, double-digit victory over what was then a ranked opponent in Kansas State. Spencer Sanders found his groove against the Wildcats. If he keeps that going, the Cowboys might be, right now, the second best team in the Big 12, only behind Oklahoma, and the gap might not be that big. So Oklahoma State in at number 17. They weren't even ranked in the AP last week. Texas A&M in at 18. Overrated team, in my opinion. We saw that. They were exploited big time by Arkansas. As long as Zach Calzada is under center for Texas A&M, the Aggies will not be able to contend. Your running game and your defense can only do so much. We saw that when they faced the Razorbacks this last Saturday. Zach Calzada has to take major steps forward. I don't have faith in him being able to do that. I just don't see that happening for the Aggies. So expect another loss against Alabama. Expect another loss maybe later on against Ole Miss, depending on when Haynes King comes back. But Texas A&M is not top 15 caliber. They aren't. They were exploited big time against Colorado. They were exploited big time against Arkansas. Still top 25, but a lot of work to do to continue to rise up in these rankings. Fresno State in at number 19, above UCLA. Unlike some polls, we do take into consideration the head-to-head results. Fresno State took down UCLA, therefore the Bulldogs deserve to be ranked above the Bruins. They struggled against UNLV, but regardless, still a top 20 team. That offense, Jake Hayner, my God, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and they can light it up and score in a hurry. So they're 19th, UCLA 20th, bouncing back from that Fresno State loss with a win over Stanford. Coming in our final column here, Baylor cracking the top 25. They're 4-0. Big win over Iowa State this last Saturday is what propelled them to this spot. Jerry Bohannon playing great football, and Dave Aranda's defense only going to get better with time. Baylor, a legitimate contender in the Big 12 this year. Wake Forest, they're in over NC State. A lot of people say NC State should be higher ranked. That loss against Mississippi State is what's holding them back. If they were undefeated, NC State would be ranked much higher right now. But Wake Forest and that offense is the real deal. And we said Wake Forest had the potential to go, 6-1, 7-1, somewhere around there to start the year. It's that back half of the schedule, the final month of the schedule, that will make or break the Demon Deacon season. But that offense with Sam Hartman, Jakari Roberson, guys like that, this is a legitimate team. Legitimate Demon Deacons team, a complete team. Maybe the best complete team that Dave Clawson has ever fielded. We believe Wake Forest deserves to be 22nd after that big win over Virginia. NC State in at 23. Again, they'd be higher ranked if they hadn't lost to Mississippi State. But the win over Clemson, huge for them. They now control their own destiny in the ACC Atlantic. Again, you told me that a couple months ago. Would have laughed at you. But they're 23rd. Clemson in at 24. The only reason Clemson remains in our top 25 is because of what Georgia Tech did to North Carolina. Georgia Tech annihilated North Carolina 45-22 just this last weekend. And obviously we saw Clemson struggle against Georgia Tech, only beating them 14-8. Maybe Georgia Tech was just that good. Maybe they've shown that much improvement since their week 1 loss to Northern Illinois. But had Georgia Tech gotten blown out by UNC, Clemson would be out because the Tigers have that victory, because the only other loss outside of NC State, which came in double overtime, was to Georgia, the number 2 team in the country. The Tigers are barely hanging on in our top 25. I still have faith in Dabo Swinney. I still believe Clemson can get the ball rolling, but obviously a playoff berth is out of the picture. It's not going to happen. The best they can hope for is a New Year's Six bowl game and another ACC title, and even then, that's going to take some help. So Clemson barely hanging on. Would not be surprised to see them lose 1 or 2 more games in 2021. And rounding out our top 25, we have Texas. I've been saying it since the beginning that Casey Thompson was the man. I've been saying that Casey Thompson was the quarterback for Texas. Everybody laughed at me, said I was ridiculous. It should be Hudson Card. Well, after Hudson Card got manhandled by Arkansas in week 2, Steve Sarkisian switched to Casey Thompson. Since then, they annihilated Rice, and they dropped 70 points on Texas Tech. Tell me again that Hudson Card should be the quarterback, because he shouldn't. Casey Thompson is the perfect fit for Steve Sarkisian's offense. We've seen that in the last 2 weeks. Texas looks like a completely different team than we saw just a few weeks ago when they played Arkansas. And I believe because of their last performance against Texas Tech, they deserve to be ranked 25th over the likes of someone like Auburn. A lot of people think Auburn should be ranked. They're not a top 25 team in our eyes. Not even close. Wins over Akron and Alabama State, congrats. You lost on the road to Penn State, and then you narrowly beat Georgia State at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Barely beat Georgia State, only winning by 10. Don't let that score fool you. Auburn scored late to take the lead in that game. So again, Auburn right now is not a top 25 team. They have not beaten anybody. They lost the biggest game of the season so far. Not to say they can't jump back in, but I like Texas over the Tigers right now than I do Auburn. So there you have it, guys. There is your brand new top 25. Not the AP poll. No. It's the GE top 25. And again, we're going to have that for you every single Monday going forward from now until the end of the year. So, of course, leave your comments below. We want to hear from you. Agree? Disagree? Let's hear it. Let's discuss this top 25. And let's discuss week 5 of college football because it is going to be a good one. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That is going to include those expert picks over on the gridironexpert.com. Signing up for those today will be one of the best decisions you make all season long. So if you haven't already, jump on that so you get our Week 5 analysis, not just for college football, but for NFL as well. Again, the link for that down in the description below. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.